Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of the Coaches Show with head coach, boys head basketball coach Heath Butler, and I'm your host Lloyd Shoemaker. We want to thank you for joining us again. We also want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. The First Choice Paint and Body Shop is our main sponsor and supporter, and we really appreciate their financial support for Channel 5. We also want to thank Sherry Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Truck for their support. Morris Heating and Cooling, Doug Morris down at Morris Heating and Cooling has been a supporter of sports programs in Piqua for a long time. And then we also want to thank F45, a new gym and athletic center coming to Piqua, opening sometime here in the very near future. So watch for that grand opening. Coach, we're doing this Saturday morning after your win at Butler, 75-70. I didn't make it to the game, but looking at the information on GWalk website this morning, looked like you had them pretty much most of the ball game. They came back in the fourth quarter, outscored you by 6, tried to catch it.
Yeah, anytime you play, they have a new coach this year, DJ Wyrick, who's from Wright State, assistant over there for Billy Donlin. Anytime you have a new coach, one thing that you always have is that little extra energy. Vandalia Butler's a lot better than the record states. So you take a look at their scores; they're always very close. And especially playing at home, the Student Athletic Center there in Vandalia has always been a tough place to play for Piqua. And to kind of handle the energy, they had a great student section last night, and one of the better student sections since we've been going down to Vandalia in my 5 years as the head coach. So, it was a good environment to come out of there. And anytime you come out of Vandalia with a win, you got to be happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Vandalia right now, after the loss last night, is 2-9. 0-4 in the league. That is very unusual for a Vandalia Butler team.
Right, and it's kind of in the rebuilding process. They have a lot of good younger kids, 2 8th grade teams, 2 7th grade teams, a very good freshman team and a very good JV team. So, they have a lot of kids coming up and a new coach who, the one thing about Vandalia Butler, as we scouted them on film, is that they always play very hard. And they continue to do that last night. We're up 12 there in the third and fourth quarter, and they make a run to cut it close, cut it to 3 at some point, and we kind of settled down there for a bit, and we're able to close it out.
Well, you outscored them every quarter except the fourth, 21-27, I think it was. You're up 34-28 halftime. Did they press you?
A little bit, especially in the beginning, but we did a great job of handling the pressure. The one thing we didn't do a very good job at is kind of reading the flow of the game. In the beginning, it was kind of up and down a little bit. We were taking some good shots, and one thing that we have to make sure we do. They had a kid, Zach Ledbetter, number 23, get very hot, and sometimes we get into the idea that we got to outscore them and to get them out of the rhythm. Anytime a kid gets hot from the outside, they feel good and they feel rhythm. One thing you have to do is you have to make them defend, and I think times last night we didn't make Vandalia defend as much as we should have, and we're just so talented that sometimes scoring comes a little bit easy, and then all of a sudden the other kid on another team gets hot, and we kind of don't make them work as much as we should to kind of bury teams. To stretch that 10-point lead to a 15-point lead, stretch the 15-point to a 20-point lead. And that goes all in the learning process to know that we're coming in this year, and there was numerous times in games we've both won and lost, but we're up 10 or 12. And to execute like that comes from experience, and the kids are learning. The good news is we've overcome the late game kind of meltdown where we blow a big lead. Now we're doing enough, making some of those small plays to make sure we close out games.
Yeah, I know I think what you're talking about is by getting them to play defense, you get them to wear themselves out.
Exactly.
So that they can't go down and hit that long shot.
Yeah, and just gets them out of a little bit of a rhythm. Vandalia found a very good rhythm there in the fourth quarter. They brought some kids off the bench that brought a little extra energy, and like you said, the Ledbetter kid kind of got hot. The good news is, like I said, we were able to close it out. Derek Gullett makes some big plays, hitting some big free throws. Tyron Cox had a big rebound. And Bradley Holbein is probably playing the best basketball he has since he's been in the program. Just very solid. And Bradley's done a very good job of moving the basketball, getting other people involved, and knowing when to take his shot. So with Colton getting his average, and then having Derek and Bradley pick up some of that slack. of scoring, and some of the other guys just doing some little things. And we feel that we're a very good basketball team right now. And in order to take the next step, to beat Troy on Friday, to beat Marian Catholic on Monday, in the second go around the GWAC to compete for the North, we got to do a lot of little things at a very high level, and I think we're starting to do that. Some of the kids, are rebounding more and picking up loose balls more and just playing harder on defense.
Well, so many things of what you just talked about are flying through my head, and I want to go in those directions. But you talk about the rebounding. Nash Black has done a good job of coming in and spelling and doing some work on the inside for you on the rebounding. So we talked about Cox. Holbein, you don't realize that he's as big as he is for the way that he handles the ball out front.
Seem to be just a little bit off. And just a half step slow and all those kind of things. And give Greenville a lot of credit. They're still a very good basketball team. And when you play a very good basketball team, you got to make sure that when things are just a little bit off, you got to do some of the simple things a little bit better. And we just didn't do that. One of the big things was the rebounding. We just didn't rebound very well in that game. Both offensively and defensively. So the good news is that even with that Greenville loss and with the victory last night at Vandalia, our goals are still in front of us. We still have a shot at the North Crown. Crazier stuff's happened. We get Trotwood and Greenville both back at home, who's at top the league, and all that kind of stuff. So our goals are still there.
Well, you talk about that Greenville game. Nate Mon had his first double-double, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. Monster game for him. Came back following that at the St. Mary's, and we'll talk about that game in a minute. He had 22 points, 17 rebounds, 3 steals, and 4 assists.
Yeah, just totally filling up the stats. And anybody that watches during the holiday tournament, the fact of the matter is Nate struggled a little bit. The great thing about Nate is that he got it fixed. And when you see young men be able to fix things, and for Nate it's not a physical thing because he's so talented athletically. He can just move so quick for being as big as he is. The biggest thing with Nate is the emotional part, and for him to get the emotional part right, that's what he can do on any given night. And to put games like that back to back, I'm very happy for Nate, because I know it can start wearing on an individual when you're not playing at your best. And not so much, by no means is anybody on our team selfish. You just want to do your best for your other guys, and when you're not playing your best, it's very easy to get down and kind of get in this negative state of mind and just bring your season totally down. And I'm very happy for Nate to kind of break out of that and to do what he did versus Greenville and versus St. Mary's.
I know during that holiday tournament there were times when his emotions kind of got the best of him, and but I sat there and I watched, and then all of a sudden Nate is breaking the ball up the floor. He's on the point, and I'm thinking, this guy is 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds, and he's handling the ball like that. Now he doesn't stay out there a long time, because you don't want him out there a long time, but he is able to bring that ball up the floor for you against some pressure.
Right, and sometimes the struggle, and we tell Nate this, is that we ask him to do a little bit more and kind of outside his comfort zone. So those struggles aren't totally on Nate. We're asking him to handle the ball, and that is tough when you haven't done that. But he's done a great job with it, and he's been a key to our success, and he will be a key to our future success as well.
Yeah, that St. Mary's came in on the following Saturday. Then after the loss to Greenville, 72-44. They made the first basket. That's the only time they were really close to us in that ball game.
Right.
They were definitely outmanned.
And they were, and the good thing is that we made sure to kind of seal the game when we needed to.
Yeah.
It's just one of those nights where we've said this before, that we think we're a very good shooting basketball team, and we shot the ball very well.
Very well.
And when you put that together with some solid defense and stringing some stops together, that's where the point spread kind of came. And once again, it goes back to this whole thing. You can't live in the past. Bad stuff's going to happen. And we could have easily sat there and kind of been lethargic after the Greenville loss, but to come out and probably put together one of our most complete basketball games of the year.
I agree.
It is very good.
Yeah.
And then couple that with last night, we feel pretty good right now.
Well, in the St. Mary's game, Nash Black, we talked about him earlier, 7 rebounds in that ball game for him. Greenville, Colton had only 7 points, but Bradley ended up with 18 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals. So he kind of made it between the two of them. They still kind of got their averages almost. But Colton wasn't feeling well that night.
Right. You know, he was a little under the weather and all that, and you know, in Greenville, you know, was a hot gym and all that. And you know, so sometimes in games like that, like I said, we just as a total team just didn't have our best. But you know, as we continue to say, and there's a common theme here, you know, to come back and rebound, you know, like Colton did, you know, versus St. Mary's and versus Vandalia last night, and that's a credit totally to the kids and how they have started to learn to respond to some adversity.
Well, between Nate and Colton in that St. Mary's game, they had 49 points, with Colton getting 27, and I don't think there was any shots that he has made during that St. Mary's game that didn't go in, that were all of them were close. Right, and you know, the mental resolve that kid has shown, you know, playing without an attached ACL, which I could never imagine doing, you know, and to be very limited. If you'd watched Colton on film from the previous 3 years, or even seen him last summer, he was at that point where he was, you know, he could go around people. He added that to his game, and to have that taken away from you in one quick instant, but yet not to let that deter you from doing what he's done. You know, just amazing mental resolve to be able to do that. And the biggest thing is that, you know, people see him on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday nights, but he hasn't missed a practice. You know, he doesn't miss any time. You know, he doesn't take a drill off in practice. You know, he's done all those things, and that goes for him. And the other thing is that the kids don't let him take it off. You know, they don't take it easy on Colton in practice. And so, you know, with Colton and his mental resolve and the other kids kind of keeping Colton to that high standard, you know, I think that's a big key to his success. Well, you know, as good as a shooter as he is, all he needs is that little bit of a separation. And what I've seen him do is he takes that step to the left or to the right, and that defender hesitates and goes back just a little bit. He's up and firing, and he'll make those. And some of the shots he made in that St. Mary's game, I'm not sure how much further back of the three-point line he was, but those were college shots. Those were pro shots from out there. Right, you know, and that just goes to, you know, we are only given a certain amount of time with the kids, you know, both during the season, you know, in the spring, and the summer, and the fall. And so when you see players like that, you want to think, okay, well, they're just doing it during basketball season. But the key, you know, with any good shooter, whether it's Colton Bachman or C.J. Davis or even Nate shooting it from the outside, or anybody that can shoot, they put a lot of time in on their own. And it's nice to see those kids get rewarded for that. I was out in the gym looking around before we got started, and I was looking at the seniors that are up there, and you mentioned CJ, and we talked about Nash, and then you got Gullett, and I'm leaving somebody out, and I don't mean to do that, but each time those kids go into a ball game, they add something to it. And I know that sometimes you get upset with them, but you do not, I have not seen you put somebody in and jerk them right back out because they've done something wrong. You give them a chance to correct it. And I think that does a lot for them from their self-confidence standpoint. It does a good thing for you from a coaching standpoint, because you're establishing that relationship. You're letting them correct the problem if at all possible. But I think you've got kids going in there who want to play, know how to play, and they know they're going to contribute. Right, and the one guy that we're forgetting is Brady Hill, who another guy who's coming off a serious knee injury and missed his senior season of football, and he's a very good football player. You know, just another kid that you know, you watch Brady, what he gives us is just that mental toughness, you know, and he can shoot it from the outside. You know, so you know, you're exactly right. We do give our kids, and they've earned that right. You know, times in past, you know, we may have had a quick hook, but it's the way you handle yourself, you know, in practice, and to see you respond to adversity in practice. You know, I feel very good about giving your kids a chance to, you know, correct the problem just because they've earned that. You know, and for the most part, they've done it this season. Let's talk about some of the GWalk stats for the individuals. Colton's running second behind Clay over at Greenville at 22 points a ball game. Nate Monin is now leading the GWalk in rebounds, 9.5 rebounds per ball game. He's got averaging 2 blocks per game, and he's averaging 13 points a ball game for us. Bradley is, I think, averaging 12.5 points a ball game for the Indians, and it's just nice to have that spread around. It's also nice to see in the G-Walk that these guys are getting the recognition for their efforts, because they've earned the right to be in those positions and those stats. One thing I want to ask you from a coaching standpoint, and I've often wondered about this, when the kids are out there, the boys are out there warming up before a game, you're standing down there at the end under the basket and you're watching. How much of an influence on your coaching during a ball game is based upon what you see an individual doing out there warming up?
A lot of it, because I'm a big believer in how you mentally prepare, how you physically prepare, and how you emotionally prepare. And one of the things we tell our kids is that your body language says a lot. So by just looking at us warming up, I can tell one as a whole. Okay, in my pregame speech when we come in at the 8-minute mark, okay, do we need a little pump up, or are we a little too jacked up, and do we need to be a little bit more even keel? So that's number one. And number two is you're exactly right, and that's hard for someone who isn't around basketball a lot to realize that I'm constantly evaluating before a game and after a game, what is our body language, how we approach things, and once we get into the game, that kind of allows me, like we said before, to let the kids figure it out, and just because I can read how they are approaching stuff. So yeah, that's a very important part, and we look at it, in today's day and age, there's not a second to waste in basketball. So even while we warm up, that's almost like a little mini practice for us, just to kind of get better at some of the small things that we need to do to win ball games.
Body language, attitude, what about if they're making shots or not?
See, that's one thing that I don't worry about, because I've seen the kids in the gym and putting the time in the gym. So I know even though they can go out there and probably maybe miss every shot warm up, I'm not concerned about that, because we are such a good shooting team that we don't really need one person to carry us, just because we can spread it around so much. The biggest thing we look at, are we communicating? Are we blocking out? Are we making good passes? So that's the big thing that I'm looking at as we warm up.
Well, and the fact that somebody's making shots wide open in warm up, that's totally different than having somebody in your face in a ball game.
Right, and one of the big things is that we continuously tell our kids that how you practice determines how you play. And one of the things that a lot of kids do today is that when they go and shoot, it's very slow. They'll take a couple dribbles and shoot, maybe jog to get the rebound, take another couple dribbles, and that's totally not game realistic. So one of the other things I'm out there trying to do, along with my assistant coach, Coach Krejci, is try to get them to speed up the pace, to try to simulate the speed that you got to shoot the basketball with.
Yeah. Well, that's something I've been meaning to ask you for a while. I wondered how much of that really had an effect on the way that you coached the ball game. Let's take a look at the what's coming up here right now. Well, first of all, someplace over here we go. In the G-Walk North right now, we've got Trotwood and Greenville tied on top with the 3-0 records. Then Sydney's at 2-2. They won a ball game last night. Then we're now 3-2. Oh, no, excuse me. We're 2-2 also. 7-8 on the season. Sydney is 9-4, and then you got Troy at 1-3 and Butler at 0-4 in the G-Walk North. Coming up for the Indians, Coach, Monday. We're doing this Saturday after the Butler game. This is the 16th. On Monday, the 18th, Martin Luther King Day. No school. You're flying to the hoop. You're playing a team out of Chicago, a tall team, a long team. What's your preparation for that? How are you going to handle those guys?
The thing is that, yeah, they're tall and they're very athletic. The thing is that they're very organized. They're not a team that tries to get it to the high 80s, 90s type of team. They're very willing and capable of winning games in the 40s, which they've done this year. So the thing is that they're very solid all the way through. You take a look at their roster, they got some great kids. Their two little guards are top 50 in their class in the nation. They got a big man that's about 6'7", that if you watch him on film, he's just amazing, just how he sprints the floor. But the thing is that they're so good that you can't concentrate on the guards. You can't concentrate on their bigs. You just got to make sure that you do the best you can to make it a 5-on-5 team. And one of the things, when they have such great sizes. And one thing we talked about our kids this morning in practice is, when you dribble at front side, you're probably not going to get a shot at the rim. It's probably going to get blocked to the bleachers. So we got to make sure we keep the floor spread in our motion offense. And the thing is that we got to make them work for everything on the defensive end. Are they going to hit shots? Yes, they're going to hit shots. Are the guards going to get into the lane at times? Yeah. But we got to make sure instead of it being 5 times, we got to make sure it's 2 times or 1 time. And we can't allow them to have second shots, and that's going to require all 5 guys to box out. So, and to play a solid team like that, we're going to have to play our best. Okay.
Now, do you expect them to play a zone?
No, they'll play man-to-man defense. They'll even stretch it out a little bit, full court, a little bit to give you a little token pressure, not a pressing run and jump trapping pressure like a Trotwood or a Wayne would, but just very solid. And they play a lot of kids, and you just got to be ready to not give them easy buckets.
Well, if you move the ball a lot, I mean, if you move it quickly around and you try to penetrate, at some point there's going to be an avenue for you to get down in that lane, and then if they do come out and they leave their man, then somebody's going to be open underneath, and hopefully we're able to get an easy basket out of it. But you apparently aren't going to be trying to score in the 60s or 70s. You're just going to try to outscore them.
Right, and just kind of be with the flow of the game. There's at some points where maybe taking a wide open shot early is good, but we got to make sure that if the game is tight, and we think it will be, that we got to make them work as hard as possibly can, especially on the defensive end. And we talked about it with the Vandalia kid. To get teams out of rhythm, you got to make them work on the defensive end. And with us being such a good passing team, and a lot of guys that we can spread the ball to and shoot, we really like our chances. Even though you take a look at the rosters and see how tall they are. If you get on the internet and see, okay, they got 2 kids in the top 50 in their class. In the nation, it's one of those games that on paper we might not stack up, but once we're on the floor and just kind of our philosophies, we think we got a pretty good chance.
All you got to do is score 1 more now.
That's right.
So then after that, Friday after that ball game, you got Troy coming in here. Not a real strong team right now, but I think under Coach Bremigan they're probably getting better. You've got to be prepared for them because they always want to beat us and we always want to beat them. So you can't let down for that. But then following that, you've got a 4-game series coming up with Northmont, Trotwood, Sydney, and Greenville. You got a game at Sydney, and the other 3 are here, right?
Right.
So that's 4 tough games.
Right, and especially taking a look, Northmont beating Centerville last night, and Northmont's playing some very good basketball. And then we get Trotwood at home. To kind of start the second round of the GWAC North, and then go to Sydney, who we got Sydney at home in overtime, 86-84, and Sydney's going to be ready, and then Greenville on the 5th, to kind of round out that stretch there of 4 games. The good thing is that we've talked about it. We want to play our best basketball, at the right times, and I think we're getting to that point. With the St. Mary's win, and the win last night, and I think we'll play very well Monday morning. We're going to be set up and tested, and we've been tested throughout the year. So we're going to play in some very tight ball games. We get a couple of them at home, but we also got to travel to some, hostile environments. So I know we'll be ready. And the kids, you prepare in the off season, in the spring, summer, and fall to have a chance. And right now, we do have a chance, and I expect nothing but the best from our kids.
Well, following those 4 very challenging ball games, you've got you're at Milton Union, then you have Butler here, and then you go down to Troy. To me, that's a kind of a thing at the end of the season, getting yourself ready physically and mentally for the tournaments.
Yeah, you would think that, but it's just a different type. In those last 3 games, while those teams may have not had a lot of success, the thing is that they're all coached, all 3 teams are coached by great coaches who get their kids to play very hard. And while the talent might not be of a Northmont or a Trotwood or a Greenville or a Sydney, at the same point in time, on any given night in high school basketball, weirder stuff has happened. So no matter who we're playing, we just got to make sure we approach every game, with a great focus, and be ready to go both physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yeah.
But it's still nice to have that breathing time to recoup from the games before that, because they're going to be physical, they're going to be challenging, they're going to be probably down to the last minute or so, and that gets you mentally. So, Coach, thanks very much. We want to thank, I didn't take the time to thank our sponsors halfway through, but I want to do that again before we get off the air here with First Choice Paint and Body Shop being our main sponsor and supporter. We appreciate their financial support, along with Morris Heating and Cooling, with Sherry, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram Truck, and also with F45 Gym Fitness Center opening soon here in Piqua. Coach, good luck to you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for coming in on Saturday morning on the icy
problem.
roads. Appreciate it. Good luck on Monday. I'll probably see you next Friday when Troy comes into the gym and we beat the heck out of them.
That sounds good.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
You guys take care out there, and we'll see you next time.